Welcome to Istanbul, the only city in the world that lives and breathes across two continents, Europe and Asia. A city where every stone tells a story, where empires rose and fell, where the air itself carries the scent of history, spice, and sea. This is not just a travel destination, it's a time machine. Let us take you on a journey through centuries, from ancient Byzantium to glorious Constantinople, to the vibrant, modern metropolis of Istanbul, a place where East meets West and never lets go. Our journey begins over 2,600 years ago. In 660 BC, Greek settlers from Megara sailed across the Aegean Sea and found a small peninsula at the edge of the Bosphorus Strait, a strategic point between two continents and two seas. Here, they founded the city of Byzantium. Back then, the city was modest, a trading post surrounded by walls, but its position made it invaluable. Whoever controlled Byzantium could control the trade between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean. Throughout its early history, it was conquered, rebuilt, and battled over by the Persians, the Athenians, the Spartans, and eventually the Romans. In 330 AD, everything changed. The Roman Emperor Constantine the Great chose Byzantium to become the new capital of the Roman Empire. He renamed it Constantinople, meaning City of Constantine, and began a massive transformation. The city was redesigned with Roman forums, aqueducts, and baths. Churches began to rise. The walls expanded. Constantinople was no longer a small outpost. It was now the new Rome, the beating heart of an empire. And in 537 AD, one of the most magnificent structures in the world was completed, the Hagia Sophia, a masterpiece of engineering and beauty. With a dome that seemed to float in the sky, Hagia Sophia stood as the largest cathedral in the world for nearly 1,000 years. Constantinople became the crown jewel of Christianity, a symbol of power, and a prize that many sought to claim. But even the greatest cities must face change. In 1453, after a siege lasting 53 days, the Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II, also known as Mehmed the Conqueror, broke through Constantinople's mighty walls. The city fell. The Byzantine Empire was no more. Constantinople became the new capital of the Ottoman Empire, and a new chapter began. The city, now called Istanbul, would flourish for centuries to come. Under Ottoman rule, Istanbul transformed again into a center of Islamic art, culture, science, and architecture. The Hagia Sophia was turned into a mosque. New monuments rose, like the breathtaking Sultan Ahmed Mosque, famously known as the Blue Mosque, with its 6 slender minarets and cascading domes. Its interior glows with over 20,000 hand-painted tiles, lit by natural light, filtering through 260 stained glass windows. Nearby, the sprawling Topkapi Palace became the home of Ottoman sultans. Within its walls, royal gardens, sacred relics, secret courtyards, and stories of intrigue. Later, in the 19th century, the empire began to modernize, and with it came Dolmabahce Palace, a dazzling blend of European and Ottoman design, set along the Bosphorus with crystal chandeliers and marble staircases. Istanbul was the heartbeat of an empire that spanned 3 continents. Today, Istanbul is a city reborn. Though no longer a capital, it remains Turkey's cultural, economic, and historical soul. A mega-city of more than 15 million people, where tradition and modernity coexist. Hop on a tram through the bustling streets of Beyoğlu. Sip strong Turkish tea in a back-alley cafe. Or take a ferry ride on the Bosphorus, watching the skyline shift from mosques to skyscrapers. all while seagulls call overhead and the sun dips behind ancient domes. Cross the Galata Bridge, and you move between continents, from Europe to Asia, in just minutes. If you're planning to visit, Istanbul offers experiences unlike anywhere else in the world. Wander through the Grand Bazaar, one of the oldest and largest covered markets on Earth, with more than 4,000 shops filled with spices, lamps, jewelry, and stories. Marvel at the Blue Mosque, still an active place of worship and an architectural wonder. Step into the Hagia Sophia, where you'll feel the layers of history. Once a church, then a mosque, a museum, and now a mosque again. Explore the Topkapi Palace, where treasures of the empire remain on display. Visit the stunning Dolmabahce Palace, where chandeliers hang from ceilings like frozen waterfalls. And finally, take a Bosphorus cruise, an unforgettable ride where you watch minarets rise, palaces sparkle, and continents pass you by. Istanbul is not just a destination. It's an experience, a story in motion, a journey through time. From the days of Byzantium to the pulse of today's metropolis, this city offers the traveler history, hospitality, mystery, and magic, all wrapped in one breathtaking skyline. So whether you're chasing sunsets, seeking stories, or standing where emperors once walked, Istanbul is waiting.